The year is 1921. A man vacationing with his family falls into the icy waters of the Bay of Fundy. Days later, a fever grips him. His legs grow weak, then numb. The diagnosis is devastating: polio. At 39, he is told he will never walk again. For most, this would be the end of a public career. But this man was not most men. This was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And his personal crucible would forge a leader with the resilience to steer a nation through its own paralysis, the Great Depression, and the darkest days of global war. How did a man, broken in body, find the strength to remake a nation and the world? This is the story of the president in the wheelchair, the voice on the radio, and the architect of the American century. Born into the rarefied world of New York's Hudson Valley aristocracy, young Franklin Roosevelt's life was one of privilege and expectation. Educated at Groton and Harvard, he was handsome, charming, and seemed destined for a comfortable, if unremarkable, life. He married his distant cousin, Eleanor, a shy but fiercely intelligent woman who would become his most trusted and sometimes most critical advisor. Following in the footsteps of his famous fifth cousin, Theodore Roosevelt, FDR entered politics, serving as a New York State senator and then as Assistant Secretary of the Navy under President Woodrow Wilson. His ambition was clear, his path seemingly set. But fate, as it often does, had a different plan. The diagnosis of polio was a physical and psychological blow that cannot be overstated. In an era when disability was hidden away, FDR faced a choice: retreat from public life or redefine the very meaning of strength. He chose the latter. With grim determination and Eleanor's unwavering support, he embarked on years of grueling physical therapy. He learned to use heavy steel braces and crutches, mastering the illusion of walking by swiveling his hips to propel his legs forward. This private battle instilled in him a profound empathy for those who struggled, a quality that would become his political trademark. When he re-emerged on the political stage to nominate Al Smith for president in 1928, audiences saw not a disabled man but a triumphant survivor. 2 years later, he was elected governor of New York, using the state as a laboratory for the progressive policies he would later unleash on the nation. In 1932, America was on its knees. The Great Depression had shuttered factories, broken banks, and left a quarter of the workforce unemployed. Bread lines stretched for blocks, and a sense of hopelessness blanketed the land. Into this despair stepped Roosevelt, promising a new deal for the American people. His inaugural address on March 4, 1933, electrified the nation. "The only thing we have to fear," he declared in his confident, reassuring baritone, "is fear itself." It was more than a speech. It was a declaration of war on the Depression. In his first 100 days, Roosevelt launched a dizzying array of programs. The Civilian Conservation Corps put young men to work in national parks. The Tennessee Valley Authority brought electricity and jobs to one of the poorest regions in the country. The FDIC ensured bank deposits, restoring faith in the financial system. Not everyone was a fan. Critics on the right called him a socialist, a dictator who was destroying American capitalism. Critics on the left argued he wasn't going far enough. But Roosevelt connected with the American people in a way no president had before. Through his fireside chats, he used the intimate medium of radio to speak directly to families in their living rooms, explaining his complex policies in simple, compassionate terms. He wasn't a distant figure in Washington. He was a guest in their homes, a voice of calm in the storm. This bond secured his landslide re-election in 1936 and fueled the Second New Deal, which gave America its enduring safety nets, Social Security, and the right to collective bargaining for unions. He was fundamentally reshaping the relationship between the government and its citizens. As America slowly climbed out of the Depression, a new shadow fell across the globe. Fascism was on the march in Europe and Asia. While most Americans, haunted by the memory of World War I, clung to isolationism, Roosevelt saw the growing threat. With characteristic cunning, he began to prepare the nation for a conflict he believed was inevitable. He initiated the Lend-Lease Act, a clever policy that allowed the U.S. to supply the Allied powers, particularly Great Britain, with vital war materials, effectively making America the arsenal of democracy. He was walking a political tightrope, educating the public about the danger while respecting their desire for peace. Then came December 7, 1941. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor shattered American isolationism forever. The next day, Roosevelt addressed a stunned Congress, declaring it a date which will live in infamy. The nation was now at war, and FDR transitioned from a domestic reformer to a global commander-in-chief. He formed the Grand Alliance with Britain's Winston Churchill and the Soviet Union's Joseph Stalin, an unlikely trio of a Democrat, an imperialist, and a communist united against a common foe. He oversaw the greatest industrial mobilization in history, transforming American factories into a war machine that churned out ships, planes, and tanks at an astonishing rate. His leadership during the war was tireless, managing the immense complexities of a two-front war in the Atlantic and the Pacific, making strategic decisions that would shape the post-war world. Elected to an unprecedented fourth term in 1944, the years of strain were visible. The once vibrant man was now gaunt and frail. His final great project was to build a lasting peace. He was the chief architect of the United Nations, an organization he hoped would prevent future world wars. But he would not live to see its creation. On April 12, 1945, just weeks before victory in Europe, Franklin Delano Roosevelt died of a massive cerebral hemorrhage. The nation was plunged into grief. The voice that had guided them through depression and war was silent. FDR's legacy is immense and complex. He created the modern American social safety net, redefined the role of government, and led the nation to victory in the greatest conflict in human history. He was a master politician, a brilliant communicator, and a symbol of hope for millions. His presidency proves that our greatest strengths can often be forged in our deepest vulnerabilities. The man who couldn't walk taught a nation how to stand tall again. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the figures who shaped our world. We'll see you next time.